everyone. Welcome to another exciting Ink and Voice podcast from SDMMD Mysore. Today, we are thrilled to host Manoj KP, SPOC of Finnacle, the hub for finance trends since 2008, famous for Vitaksh, inter-college events and workshops that bridge theory to practice. From internship in Morgan Stanley, Manoj's journey is inspiring. So, let's dive in and hear from Manoj himself, his story, his learnings, and what it takes to lead and connect an entire community.
We welcome you, Manoj. So starting off with the first question, what's the funniest mishap that happened during any events like flagship event? Finnacle always conducts flagship events apart from the license. Right. So also inside the campus and outside the campus, what is the most funniest mishap that happened and how did you overcome it?
Okay. Firstly, thanks for having me here. I think mishaps, there have been any really mishaps I would say, but probably when it comes to, probably organizing events, or rather when we have to do a little pre-checks when it comes to events. I think one recent mishap was with regards to one of the banner that we had designed. So what happened was, despite having a very good design, all those things, it was just that we forgot to include the QR code for the basically registration for Vitaksh. So that is something that we missed upon. But again, we were able to identify it on an early basis, and therefore we corrected it on spot. So yeah.
Excellent decision on the spot.
Now, another interesting question for you is, if finance club members were superheroes,
right,
what would their finance themed powers be, and which event like Phenology would they dominate?
Okay. Let's say probably I would theme it as Star Wars Money Wars, maybe. Okay. Probably superpowers would be something like the alpha generators, beta resistors, returns architects, yield maximizers, and maybe profit catalysts. So yeah, maybe those things.
Excellent. Would you like to give any specific role to a particular teammate or the committee member or?
Teammate, okay. Alpha generator, I mean, let me speak from perspective of seniors that we have, because I've seen them mostly. Yeah. Maybe alpha generators, it is Saurabh, considering his experience in the financial markets. Beta resistor, maybe Shashank, because he is someone who likes to go a little less risky when it comes to picking up stocks or picking up any investment alternatives. When it comes to yield maximizers, I think it's Samir. He always likes to go more on kind of aggressive when it comes to picking stocks. He always wants to generate that extra return, be it probably go a little more, take more risks and earn better returns. Moving on to returns architect, I think it is Darshan, because he always likes to build a portfolio which is kind of diversified, in the sense he always likes it to go soft, but at the same time he also wants it to design it in a way that the returns is not compromised upon, considering both risk and profit aspect. And lastly, it's profit catalyst, maybe. Yeah, profit catalyst. I think it goes to Shruti, because she's the only female in our senior female club member. I think she knows how to handle it well. Yeah.
So talking about a kind of not so controversial questions, if there is a hype around ESG investing right this present moment, and what does the truly sustainable drive would lead to? Whether it is sustainability skills, and what have you inferred it from Morgan Stanley?
Okay, first let me explain what ESG investing is all about. So ESG investing, as we know, it's basically an investing approach in which there is a certain kind of weightage that we give to certain sustainability aspects of either a company or a project that we invest in. Usually when we actually research about any investment alternatives, we always look at their past performance, their risk return ratio and things like that. But from a long-term perspective, what we also have to look into is the kind of sustainability impact that these companies or projects that also have. For example, let's take two companies. Let's get into energy. Let's say clean energy and dirty energy company. So clean energy wants to build up solar infrastructure projects, whereas dirty energy wants to build up these thermal projects and things like that. So typically maybe dirty energy here would be probably a little might go on aggressive and try to earn, give you more EPS and things like that, more return on your investment. But sometimes when we look at from the long term perspective, many governments per se are going into this concept of net zero goals. So that is why they are trying to put a lot of measures, or they're trying to put a lot of tariffs in terms of where the energy or where the cash flows are coming from. So let's say even if they're earning a lot of revenues, but the governments are trying to put a lot of pressure on them as to convert their these thermal energy into green energy. So that is where we have to look into that perspective as well when you are looking at the long run, so that our investment, or let's say our cash flows, are also ensured that they are sustainable. At the same time, we also look into the growth aspects as well. So speaking from Morgan Stanley, I think I did not work in that domain, but I would say that the company also has its sustainable investing plan, in which they also fund various projects that are rather sustainable, in which they also have this portfolio in which they try to invest in such projects, and as per their report, they are able to generate a return which is on par to any non-sustainable projects as well. So I think that is a great news for looking forward to.
According to you, should B schools like SDMID prioritize practical trading workshops or over traditional finance theory in clubs like finance?
Traditional or rather theoretical aspects always lay a foundation as to how we apply it. But when it comes to application of all these skills, there has to be certain tools, or rather some terminals through which we are able to apply such knowledge. For example, we had this course on financial derivatives. We always used to understand about some of the option strategies that are being used in order to hedge or mitigate certain losses. So there it was always theory. We used to put it in Excel sheet, give some random numbers, and understand what the payoffs are. But when it comes to understanding from the actual market perspective, we have NSE Smart. I am sure you guys also know it. Yeah. So there we were also given the leverage on using certain digital currency, or rather paper money, in which we could invest and probably get hands-on experience when the actual markets are trading. So I think that is how we have to move forward. And theory is one part, but again we also need to know how to apply this, because ultimately if we have to be job ready, we should know certain skills as to how we are applying it as well.
So talking about your personal experiences, can you please walk us through the Morgan Stanley SIP, and what was the toughest challenge in equity research particularly, and how did it learn to further gateway or further journey of yours?
Okay, first question is about my SIP in Morgan Stanley, right? Okay, so I had just completed my summer internship, student exchange program from Montpellier Business School, and it had been almost 2 weeks or so. So initial days were a bit an eye-opener for me, because we always have this understanding that we know a lot of things and probably that is adequate. But when I entered that company, that was an eye-opener for me, because the kind of amount of the amount of knowledge that all those the people they work have is immense, because they're professionals in whatever they do. It's not like they just know one particular aspect and they work upon it. They have a holistic approach of whatever they're knowing, and even if they're the kind of the projects that they're working into, they also ensure that the team that they're working under, they also they ensure that all of them are also knowing such skills and things. So that was an eye-opener for me, because even when I had certain doubts, I was not knowing things, they were really helpful in order to ensure that I also learn things, also in terms of helping with my project as well. I think one of the toughest, I don't think there was any challenge as such. I think one important aspect that I noticed is the importance of socializing with people, especially when you're working in corporate.
How does Finnacle keep students ahead of finance trends through workshops and collaborations?
Okay, I'm sure you guys know that apart from workshops, conferences, we also have various events that we conduct, be it Finergy, be it Vitaksh. Okay, so workshops, on one hand, we always try to bring in a lot of fundamentals into picture, be it how do we invest in what are the investing techniques, what are the kind of investment strategies that we use in. For example, this year we had Saurabh had taken one session on investing strategy. I'm sure if you guys were there. So that is one. Apart from that, Finergy is our intra-collegiate event in which we try to bring in actual trends that are happening in the form of certain competitions, be it deposition rounds, be it M&A rounds and things like that. Apart from that, conferences, yes, conferences, I think it is all about bringing industry with academia, right? Because it is all about, there are a lot of delegates that come from outside, ensure that for obviously their paper presentations, but at the same end, interacting with them will always give you a lot of insights. At the same time, when certain, guest faculties come, at the same time, there are certain chief guests that come in, they're always, at their own, good spot in their corporate lives. So always interacting with them, will always help us in, gaining insights. I think that is there. And for Vitaksh, I know it is always at club level what we learn, because Vitaksh is something, it is like a whole new thing for us, because handling Vitaksh is never easy. It has never been easy. And yeah, I think that's the way forward. It is all about, interacting, getting yourself noticed around, improving your visibility, and at the same time also getting your fundamentals clear. Yeah.
Tell us about organizing Vitaksh, Finnacle's unique inter-college event, and what makes it stand out.
Okay. Vitaksh, as we know, is the only intercollegiate fest which is organized by any club in this college, and currently we are hosting it on 5th of January, and it is running in full swing as of now. So one of the major tasks of organizing Vitaksh is getting registrations, because registrations, when we are inviting people across India, it is always difficult for them it is always difficult to convince them to travel here and participate for a one-day event. So registrations has always been a tedious task for us, and Vitaksh has always been this legacy of it was started more than around 10 to 12 years earlier. Because of some reason during COVID we had to shut it down, but again we have revamped it last year, and this time it's the second time that we are conducting Vitaksh post COVID. And Vitaksh has always been a legacy of Finnacle, because Vitaksh is something it's just that the prize pool that we also give is also quite huge. At the same time, when participants across India come and participate, it is always important to build good network amongst all the people who come in. At the same time, with all the kind of rounds that we develop, they always get in that exposure, and with the faculty members here also, they were able who are going to judge the event, they're also pretty much insightful in order to give the insights, or rather some suggestions from their experience. I think that is how it is important. And getting registrations, it's really tough.
Makes sense. So getting back to the events part, especially the license and the inter-college events, as you have mentioned, can you also please elaborate that how does Finnacle contribute to SDMMD's flagship events, that is license?
Mm-hmm.
And apart from that, what finance domain in its own has faced its own challenges in respect of license?
Okay, for license we have our own finance based event which we conduct, and for license it is always all about connecting the dots from Vitaksh to license, because it is usually conducted during the same period. So one such is that, and for license we always try to ensure that it is always different as compared to Vitaksh, because it is always important that we try to ensure that there is bit of sophistication when we are conducting license, because here we are not just representing our club, we are representing college. So that is there. And apart from that, everything is ensure that we always try to bring our best in order to impart a little impart knowledge from our end as well. So I think that's there.
So before moving on to a few more questions,
Right.
Are you ready for a quick rapid fire round?
Yeah, sure.
The Finnacle legacy in one word.
All-rounder.
Vitaksh or license, which one has the higher caffeine consumption for the team?
Vitaksh.
Morgan Stanley office vibes or the SDMIMD campus greenery?
SDMMD campus greenery.
Anything you would like to share particularly about Incan Voice Committee?
I think you guys are doing great when it comes to bringing, blending creativity with learning, especially when it comes to a topic like communication, because that is something that is always learnt with experience rather than just theory. I think with the kind of events that you bring in, it has always helped SDMIMs, to ensure that we always improve our communication.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
So everyone, that's a wrap for the Ink and Voice podcast episode of this series with Manoj KP, the SPOC of Finnacle. Here we have learned about the insights of Finnacle's updates, license, as well as all other events as you have seen. Thank you for joining us, and
Tune in next time on Ink and Voice for more SDMMD stories.
till then, like, share and subscribe, and have a nice day.
Thank you.